Thanallax Archives. Database, Umbra. Case file, Umbra-044. Designation, Carver family disappearance. Status, active. File sequence initiated. The following material has been approved for public release under Archive Directive 19. Viewer discretion is advised. If recovered media appears altered from previous viewings, terminate playback immediately and notify archive personnel. Begin file. In September of 2019, authorities in Northern Ontario began investigating what initially appeared to be a routine missing persons case. By the end of the investigation, an entire family had vanished. No bodies were ever recovered. No suspects were ever identified. And despite years of investigation, no satisfactory explanation has ever been found. The case remains open. The Carver family lived in a rural home north of the town of Thessalon, Ontario, surrounded by dense woodland. The nearest neighboring property was over 3 kilometers away. The family consisted of David and Emily Carver, along with their 3 children. Sarah, age 11, Noah, age 8, and Lily, age 5. By all accounts, the family lived a quiet and unremarkable life. The first disturbance was recorded September 14, 2019. At approximately 2:13 in the morning, Noah Carver woke his parents in a distressed state. He claimed he had seen his sister standing outside his bedroom window. Investigators initially dismissed the account as a nightmare. However, Noah's bedroom was located on the 2nd floor. There was no balcony, no tree near enough to reach the window, and no reasonable explanation for how someone could have been standing outside it. When questioned further, Noah reportedly repeated the same statement. "She wanted me to open the window." His parents assumed he had been dreaming. 3 days later, Sarah disappeared. No signs of forced entry were found. No signs of a struggle. No footprints. No blood. No evidence of abduction. Search teams combed the surrounding woods for nearly a week. Nothing was recovered. Then, 6 days after her disappearance, Sarah returned. At 11:47 p.m., she knocked on the front door, as seen in this outdoor security camera capture. Investigators noted several unusual details. Sarah showed no signs of injury, no signs of dehydration, no indications that she had spent nearly a week alone in the wilderness. A medical evaluation found no irregularities. More concerning, however, was her behavior. Family members described her as calm, exceptionally calm. One witness later stated, "It was like she wasn't relieved to be home." When asked where she had been, Sarah only ever provided one response: "It showed me the sun." The phrase would later become central to the investigation. 4 days later, Noah disappeared. The rear door of the residence was found standing open. A flashlight belonging to David Carver was recovered in the backyard. Noah was never found. Investigators interviewed Sarah repeatedly. She displayed no visible emotional reaction. When informed her brother was missing, she simply stared at the floor. One officer described her demeanor as like she already knew. 8 days later, Lily vanished. The 5-year-old disappeared from her bedroom during the night. The window was found open despite being locked before the family went to bed. No signs of entry, no signs of exit, no evidence recovered. Neighbors later reported hearing Emily Carver screaming into the woods shortly before dawn. No source for the occurrence was identified. At this stage, investigators considered multiple theories: wild animal attacks, abduction, family involvement, environmental factors, even familial psychogenic illness. None adequately explained the available evidence, of which there was very little. On October 17th, David Carver entered the woods carrying a hunting rifle. Neighboring properties reported hearing several faraway gunshots. Emily Carver immediately alerted authorities at finding her husband gone from the house at an unusual hour. He never returned. The rifle was never recovered. 2 days later, Emily Carver contacted authorities again. The call lasted less than 3 minutes. The recording is incomplete. The final intelligible statement is believed to be, "That's not my daughter." The call ended abruptly. Emily Carver was never seen or heard from again. Police arrived at the residence the following morning. Every door was open. Every window was open. Despite near-freezing temperatures, Sarah was discovered sitting alone in the living room, motionless, facing an unpowered television. Body camera footage shows officers attempting to communicate with her. She did not acknowledge their presence. She did not respond to questions. She did not appear to blink. After approximately 40 minutes, she finally spoke, without turning her head, without changing expression, without looking at the officers. It showed them the sun. Those were the last confirmed words Sarah Carver ever spoke. Sarah was transported to a regional care facility. At 3:14 a.m., security footage shows a nurse leaving her room. The door remained locked. The room had no windows. 43 seconds later, staff re-entered. The room was empty. No breach was identified. No evidence suggested Sarah had exited through conventional means. She has not been seen since. The Carver residence remained vacant for nearly 2 years. Eventually, the property was auctioned. The new owners occupied the home for 4 months. They reported hearing children running through the upstairs hallway. No children lived in the residence at that time. The sounds were captured on audio equipment. No source was identified. Subsequent owners reported increasingly unusual events: knocking on second-story windows, doors found standing open despite triplicate locking, children's laughter coming from the woods at unconventional hours, the sound of a nearby toddler crying after sunset. One resident reported observing a young girl standing among the trees at the edge of the property on several evening occasions. The figure vanished before police arrived. Subsequent owners have also noted the appearance of an entity on the tree line with increasing frequency proportionate to time spent on the property. See image articles 017 through 022. No tenants have remained on the property more than 6 months. The residence has remained vacant as of October 2021. In 2025, emergency services received a call from an individual claiming to be a resident of the property. The caller stated, "Someone keeps knocking on Noah's window." The dispatcher, familiar with the previous incidences related to the caller's address and with access to historical call logs in her system, asked for clarification. There was a pause. The caller replied, "It's still here." The call ended shortly afterward. The most disturbing evidence associated with the case emerged during a property survey conducted in early 2026. Realtors documented the residence using standard photographic equipment. Upon review, analysts discovered something unusual. Every photograph taken inside and outside the home appeared to contain 5 additional figures: 1 adult male, 1 adult female, 1 young girl, 1 young boy, and 1 small child. Standing somewhere in the background, watching. The realty team was heavily questioned. The realty team maintains those figures were not present when the images were taken. Final note: the phrase spoken by Sarah Carver remains unexplained. "It showed me the sun." No known connection has been established between the statement and the disappearances. No evidence has been recovered identifying the entity reportedly observed near the property. No remains of the Carver family have ever been found. All 5 are still considered missing persons. The Carver family home is currently for sale. This case file remains open. Related material detected. Entity correlation found. Accessing. File located. Database, penumbra. Case file, penumbra-045. Entity designation, entity T-044-2. Common designation, the crowned one. Internal nickname, Mr. Headhands. Status, active. Archive correlation confirmed. Entity designation, T-044-2 has been linked to multiple active investigations. For additional information, please see retrieved file, penumbra-045. Penumbra level access may be required. End file.